The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 21st day of May 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medicwells, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. How's everyone feeling? It's like a short week. I mean, we cut it an extra day shorter because there was no show yesterday, but a short week, a holiday week. This week is kind of like represents the unofficial beginning of summer for a lot of people. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean dipping my toes in the ocean. Nope, there's fish in there. So you don't have to worry about a picture or a video of me doing that. But yeah, short week for you all. So I know you're excited. I know that this represents happy times for some people. Bermuda Day. No, you're not going to see me running in the Bermuda Day half marathon derby. Nope, you won't see it this year. I know. A record 42 years not out. Haven't done it yet. But for those of you who are doing it, more power to you, honestly. I think Burnhouse Hill, is that the hill that everyone says is like the most grueling hill on the route out of the west? I wish you all the best. I wish you great weather, very low humidity, and I'll be cheering you on as much as possible because I mean, I'm being dead serious. I give so much props to people who have run that race and completed it. It's a grueling. Bermuda has a lot of hills. Bermuda has a lot of hills, so it's a grueling thing. I mean, it's wow. And shout out to Matt Melanie, who's our guest today. Matt running this year. Honestly, I give props to you. If you're running the Bermuda Day Half Marathon Derby, props to you all. Seriously, it's commendable. It's something that I've yet to do, and let me not say yet. It's something I have not done. I'm not going to throw yet, and then you have expectations of me next year, and you know the like. But yeah. Anyway. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. We've got a good one today. We're going to welcome Melanie Gauntlett on from Freisenbruch for this segment of Get Insured. We're talking about pensions today, so a really favorite conversation of mine. And as I said to her backstage, it's funny because I didn't realize how, I guess, lucky Bermudians were when it came to pensions until I began working in the U.S. and you learn about how 401ks work, and trust me, this is why Americans work literally to death because Bermudian, the way the law works is really in the employee's favor. So I'm going to be talking about pensions and some of the things that they offer. The daily players will remember when, so don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Suzanne Ingham says, awesome day to you, Jamel and TDH team, and an awesome day to you as well, Suzanne Ingham. Happy Tuesday to all of you out there. Let's jump into today's conversation. So I went through our good friends at the Royal Gazette, and I saw a headline, and it said, union says school staffing shortages must be a priority. Now, I did see a couple of stories on Trevor at TNN. He did have a story about Harrington Sound a couple weeks ago, and then most recently, Dalton E. Tucker which I think is the old Southampton League. But basically, both schools were forced to close their doors temporarily in recent weeks owing to an absence of staff. So there seems to be some concerns regarding staff shortage. And just reading from the Gazette is the General Secretary of the Bermuda Union of Teachers, Dante Cooper, has addressed it and fixing an alarming shortage of substitute teachers for public schools should the Department of Education should be the Department of Education's top priority. The teachers said, and we have a couple. Well, I think all of the men that have been involved in this show, except Teo and myself, have been in the classroom at some point. And Rajay, I think most recently was substitute teaching. But I guess the question of the morning audience is a couple things, right? The question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on teacher shortages in Bermuda? What are your thoughts on teacher shortages in Bermuda? But in one word, what concerns you most about public education in Bermuda? In one word, like just one word, folks. What concerns you most about public education in Bermuda? I know the recent West End and Somerset primary school situation, people were conflicted, right? People were conflicted. And it seemed some people were all in favor and happy that West End stayed open. And then there were others and said, well, the building staying open is not the issue. What about the curriculum that the children are being taught and the like? But what, in one word, what concerns you most about public education in Bermuda? What's the one thing when you think public education, that's the word that comes to mind? I did see educator Dr. Lou Matthews basically say he wants to get rid of the word reform, right? We've been talking about reform forever. And he gave some replacement words, which I don't remember. But what in one word, what concerns you most about public education in Bermuda? One word. Manda says accountability. Accountability. Yeah. I think that word I can utilize for all parts of government, but I appreciate you, Amanda. Yeah. Accountability. Adeline Swan, well, she gave us double. She says pathetic and concerning. Pathetic and concerning. Charles H. Jeffers II, he says leadership or lack thereof. Leadership or lack thereof. What else, audience? In one word, what concerns you most about public education? What concerns you most? And the question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on the teacher shortages in Bermuda? And if you're just tuning in, so the Bermuda Union of Teachers addressed the recent shortage of substitute teachers for public schools, and basically said the situation meant teachers faced burnout and some classes were neglected. And, this should be of concern to everyone. We don't want our educators burning out. So what are your thoughts? And are we addressing this? Like, do you feel like we're taking this because we've heard reform, we've heard buildings closing, we've heard that we're going to be changing curriculums and systems and the like, right? But are we ignoring some key areas to actually make education better overall? So again, in one word, what concerns you most about public education in Bermuda? Diane Gilbert says dedication. Dedication by who? Diana Gilbert, sorry. By who? The educators, the government, parents, students, but dedication is her word. But let's jump into it. What are your thoughts on the teacher shortages in Bermuda? What are your thoughts? What's the solutions to this? What are solutions to this? How do we solve this problem in Bermuda that we're facing when it comes to the teacher shortages in Bermuda? What do you think is the answer to the situation we're facing in Bermuda with teacher shortages? I think there's always an answer. What is the answer? Where are the solutions? Where do the solutions lie for us? We can't keep ignoring it. And I know we have a lot of educators who tune into the show, so your insight and input is valued. It's valued, and I don't care if what class you teach. As long as you're in a classroom, you have an understanding and maybe some expertise that can help us resolve this issue. Suzanne Ingham says, give Rajay a full-time teaching job. Well, we got to make sure Raj actually wants that. But no, I think Rajay, I've never seen him in the classroom, but if he's anything like the Rajay I've had the privilege of working with, I definitely believe that he is one who can make a difference in the classroom. But what concerns you most about the teacher shortages in Bermuda, audience? What concerns you most about the teacher shortages in Bermuda? Diana Gilbert says dedication from teachers, parents, and everyone else involved. Absolutely. And I think, thank you for clarifying, dedication from everyone. For education, for public education to work, it requires a certain attitude from a lot of us to make it work. What are your thoughts, though? How can we resolve the issues with teacher shortages in Bermuda? What do you think is a solution to this? We don't want to have a lack of substitute teachers, because as the general secretary of the Bermuda Union of Teachers said, that leads or could lead to burnout. And once you have burned out educators, what does that mean for the students? If we want what's best for students, then we have to give our best to the educators, right? We have to create environments where everyone can thrive. Students can't thrive without healthy, mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy educators. What are your thoughts, though, folks, on the shortages? Diana Gilbert, she says, mental health is a huge issue regarding both students and teachers alike. Interesting. I think we have to remember that, with all due respect, teachers are human beings. They have families that they go home to as well. And as Diana Gilbert says, everyone suffers. So we definitely need to keep in mind that this involves, we can't forget the human element in it all. So again, what are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on the teacher shortages in Bermuda? How can we attract more people into the space, into the classroom? How can we attract more people to consider being substitute teachers, right? That may be a solution. Like, get more people to consider it. But how do we do that? How do we attract more people? My thought is we create environments where people want to be there. We had Duncan Simons, Major Duncan Simons, one from the Bermuda Regiment last week, and they were recruiting, right? And to me, getting rid of conscription shouldn't be the end of the Bermuda Regiment and recruitment. It should be, to me, a new beginning, because now you get the opportunity to showcase all that's great and get the best of the best applying, right? So we need to create an environment where people say, you know what, this is welcoming and I want to be a part of it. That's no different from education. So if we have a substitute teacher shortage, what can we do? What can we do to attract people who will make a difference, who will improve the classroom for students? We need to attract more. If not, and with the system changing, does that mean that some of the schools closing, are there going to be more teachers available who can help reduce this situation? What does that look like? Has the ministry said what's going to happen to principals and educators at schools that are closing? I may have missed that. I don't know. But again, what are your thoughts, audience? Remember, your government loves to listen in when we're brainstorming on this show. Let's give them some ideas. Let's give them some ideas that will benefit us. Diana Gilbert asked a valid question. Do teachers still want to teach? Society has changed so much. Well, again, I'll use Phil, Larry, and Rajay, all a part of this show. Larry no longer teaches. Phil no longer teaches. Rajay is no longer in the classroom. I will not speak for either of them this morning. And maybe that's a question that we can ask them, why they're no longer in the classroom. But I know Larry in particular, that's something he always wanted to do. He wanted to be in there. but he's no longer in the classroom. So how do we get educators back? Not just new people in the classroom, but how do we get educators who have left the classroom back into the classroom, right? Suzanne Ingham says, I have a hearty talk with Mrs. Lucinda Mabry at West Pembroke School. She is awesome, very wise, and down to earth with great ideas. Okay. Maybe she has some ideas of how we can attract some of Bermuda's best into the classroom to educate. But what else, audience? What are your thoughts on teacher shortages in Bermuda? What are your thoughts on teacher shortages in Bermuda? What do you think? What are some solutions to teacher shortages in Bermuda? Let us know if you have any ideas, any solutions to what we're currently facing. Again, if you're just tuning in, the Royal Gazette had an article last week where the General Secretary of the Bermuda Union of Teachers, Mr. Dante Cooper, was addressing the shortages within the Department of Education. Recently, Harrington Sound Primary School and Dalton E. Tucker Primary School were forced to close their doors temporarily in recent weeks owing to an absence of staff. So this is a concern because when that happens, who suffers? I mean, when I was a student, if that happened, I would be happy because I would feel like it's a day off. But we know that's not beneficial for a student. So who suffers? This is a problem that needs to be fixed. What is the ministry doing to fix it? What ideas do we have to ensure that we don't end up in the same place again? We shouldn't need children in public education to know that this is a problem. Because those in public education today will be responsible for some aspect of our life tomorrow. This is something that needs to be addressed. If we don't have educators in the classroom, then who's teaching the students? We've got to find a way to fix this, folks. We've got to find a way to fix this. We've got to find a way to fix this. Teresa Marie says, does anyone here know why there's a shortage? Well, according to the article from in the Royal Gazette, all that we have is teachers are being driven out to burnout through a lack of support in the form of substitute teachers that can cover staff absences. And this is not the first time we have made this call for substitute teachers to be made available, whether through redistribution or hiring. So, Teresa Marie, I don't know if it's due to a lack of people interested in being substitute teachers, a lack of qualified people available. These are things that we need to know, and they need to be addressed. And I think the ministry should be forthcoming and address this head on, like it's look. Act like there's an election tomorrow, and speak to the people. That's what I would encourage the minister to do. Because if there were an election tomorrow, they'd be all over it and saying, "This is what we're doing." This is concerning. I'm just saying, this is very concerning. Because through everything when it comes to education, the one thing I feel like we always, I wouldn't even say forget, but it's almost the afterthought, is the student and their education. While we're talking about the teacher shortages, the most important aspect of education is the student. We've got to fix this problem. I'm not fear-mongering or over-exaggerating, but our lives depend on public education. They do. Rick Olson says, Bermuda is not attractive for many due to high cost of living. Examples of police, firemen, lifeguards, hospitality, plumbers, electricians, all have real shortages, and now teachers. Fix Bermuda Inc., you fix the problem. He's not telling a lie. He's not telling a lie there. We've had the police on recruitment. You've seen the firemen. You saw the Bermuda Regiment last week. We do have a lot of shortages. Burmy Girl says, before the ministry can fix it, they need to acknowledge what is actually broken. Well, now there you go. Yeah, we have to acknowledge the problem exists, right? We can't keep ignoring it. And what's that saying? Kicking the can down the road or something? I'm no good at this. But anyway, you get my point. Well, Suzanne Ingham says, Jamel, we do have an election tomorrow, C10. Well, you're absolutely correct. We do. But I mean an election where that minister may be running. They love to protect their own ministries. Folks, let's bring Maya Palacio, and I'm sure we have an extended news break today, as it's been a few days. Let's bring her in for today's Daily Hour news break. Don't forget, it's getting short today. We've got Melanie Gauntlett from Freisenbruch. We're coming on. We're talking pensions, right? And again, I want you all to make sure you're tuned into this conversation. It's one of my favorites because, I've shared this before, that my mom used to say a couple things to keep me like off the streets. And one of them was, the streets have no pension. Unfortunately, she didn't live long enough to experience her pension. That was something I learned very young, and obviously probably had something to do with her working in an insurance company. But I've always taken pensions seriously because I don't want to work forever. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to work forever. I want to enjoy life after work. So looking forward to the conversation with Melanie Gauntlett after this. But let's bring Maya in for the Daily Hour news break.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. How are you today?
It's been a very interesting morning, a very heavy news of the week as well. So, yeah.
Was I texting you like after midnight last night?
You sent me something.
Yeah. Well, I was because I know you don't sleep a lot, and my flight got in so late, and I just wanted company, and you weren't responding to me.
All you did was send me a link. I'm supposed to respond to a link, Jamel.
Yeah, you were gonna look at and then write back your thoughts, and then I was gonna write back to you. And
no, that didn't happen.
Did you look at it when I sent it to you?
Yeah, I opened it.
And you didn't even respond. My goodness, man, they all left me hanging. The amount of my dad's like, "Oh, text me when you're in." Dude, you're gonna be asleep, right? It's like 2:00 in Bermuda. Yeah, he knows. Yeah, so I was left to my own last night, folks. Real quickly, before we get into the news. So, audience, there was no show yesterday, as we told you on Friday. If you stay to the end of the show, which you all should, then you would know. But anyway, so I went to Bermuda this weekend. Apparently, I didn't tell anybody. I told you, right, Maya, I was going to Bermuda?
I knew you were going back, but it was a surprise.
Right, it was a surprise. See, so we surprised my pops for his 70th birthday, right? And you remember the video last week when my sister surprised him on his actual birthday and he was crying and boohooing. So first off, I just want to say that I can keep a secret. He was very surprised. He didn't even know I was going to be in Bermuda, and he had a wonderful birthday, right? I didn't tell any of you all. I didn't tell nobody. But he called me every day last week, and he usually takes like every day and a half, every couple days. And I was like, does he know something's up? And is he trying to get me to break code? And on Friday, he said something. Oh, they're going to your sister's house and da-da-da. I'm like, and he said, I don't know what for, as if like I'm going to slip up. But Maya, I was so proud that I kept it to myself. I didn't say anything. And I was happy that he was happy. It was a good birthday. It was a good birthday for him, man. Happy 70th to the old man. Yeah, he had a good birthday. Have you ever been surprised, Maya?
I guess if I can't remember, it must be a no.
Oh, Maya's never been surprised, folks. You know what that means? That means
absolutely nothing.
We're gonna surprise. Anyway, but no, yeah, it was a really quick in and out in Bermuda. So so those who did see me, what's up? Yeah, nice seeing you too. But those who didn't and found out I was there, it wasn't that I was trying to ignore you. I was just there on a mission and I had to get right back out. So no hard feelings. I'll see you on the next go. And Maya did have me working on Sunday. All right. So if you saw me up there, it wasn't playtime. I had the camera out and I was recording. Cool. All right. Did you want to jump in anything about these teacher shortages? Anything?
I will get to that in the news break for sure. So I will put some sense in once we get to that portion. Well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out with your news this morning, continued collisions across the island. There was a serious single vehicle collision that left a 35-year-old man in the hospital receiving treatment. The incident occurred on Friday, May the 17th, along Middle Road, Southampton, near the junction with Tribe Road number 3. And anyone who may have witnessed this collision is and who have not yet already come forward to the police are being urged to please call them at 211 at your earliest convenience. Now, meanwhile, in another story involving a different collision, a rider has been arrested after a two-motorcycle Devonshire collision on Sunday. Now, in this case, both motorcyclists were traveling in the same direction along North Shore Road when the rider in front, understood to be a 71-year-old Devonshire man, was struck from behind by the 49-year-old rider as the older man attempted to turn on the railway heading toward Northwich Crescent. Now, both men were transported to the hospital by ambulance and treated for their injuries, which are not believed to be serious or as originally thought, thankfully. And the 49-year-old man was later discharged from the hospital and taken to the police custody on suspicion of impaired driving.
Maya, I saw something crazy on the roads in Bermuda when I was there this weekend, and I thought I was seeing it was a guy. Two things. One guy was overtaken. He had golf clubs on the back, so obviously that makes the bike a bit wider. But it was where they were overtaken on corners and so on. And I was just like, maybe they don't watch the news, read the news, or know what's going on. Maybe they don't know anyone impacted. But I do wonder how people are still so reckless if they know everything that's happening on the roads. I question that.
I believe it's a case of no one actually thinks
it can't happen to them.
Yeah, no one actually thinks it's going to happen to them. I think that's so often whenever I see anyone speeding or going crazy or like being around the French, yada, yada. It's like you have this innate thought and you have a strong belief that it's not going to be you until it actually is you. But then either you're in the hospital or unfortunately life's over, and I that crosses my mind a lot. It's like, I believe people just don't think it's going to be them. I mean, no one thinks anything's going to be us until it's us, right? Those who feel it know it. And that's really strong belief within everything. So yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. Slow down indeed. In other news, if you are traveling using the public transportation, be aware that the weekday bus schedule will be adjusted this week, Monday, the 20th of May, all the way to the 23rd of May for mandatory bus operating training. So the adjusted schedule will accommodate approximately 80 operators for training on the pending integration of the digital fare services. We would have heard this in the budget speech. So the ministry says that this training is for the operation to familiarize themselves with the new system and ensure a seamless transition for passengers. Minister of Transport, the Honorable Wayne Furbert, said that the ministry will unveil a groundbreaking evolution in our public transportation system within the next month. Yeah, so that's something that's bound to happen. And he also stated like kind of when it's going to start. So next month in June is going to be the start date for that. And then also that, if you do prefer to always just have your the physical purchases of the tickets, you could still do that as well. But this new system is supposed to be coming in next month. So people can download an app now, buy the tickets on their phone, show it to the bus drivers, and that's going to be the new system.
Okay, cool. I mean, long overdue, many would say, right?
Yeah, that is something for sure. Now, in furthermore news that we have, you may recall that the tragic event in April this year where a man had died in the efforts of trying to save a child on Horseshoe Bay. Well, this brought about more attention about lifeguard coverage in Bermuda and by the Ministry of Public Works themselves. Now, Minister Birch laid out stats in the House and how, they have increased the funds for this profession, yet still no one really wants to be involved in it, and they're still getting less and less people. So let's hear some more news.
The issues are fundamentally deeper than just financial figures. It is about attracting personnel. In 2009 and 2010, the lifeguard service had 37 and 36 trained lifeguards, respectively. Fast forward to the year 2022, the Department of Parks received only 28 applications, 10 of which were withdrawn, subsequently leaving a total of 18 trained lifeguards. In 2023, again the department received only 28 applications, of which 21 were approved as trained lifeguards. This year, again only 28 applications have been received so far, with a total of 8 persons being approved and currently serving as lifeguards, 3 full-time and 5 in reserve.
I guess my question is, are we working with a swim company or organization to prepare young people to become lifeguards?
That is a good question. They did mention some of the reasons as to why this is dwindling, and he went into the efforts that they're also making. So some of the reasons why this profession, I guess, isn't really getting much attention is the length of time it takes for the hiring process, the length of time for work permits to be approved, and of course, compensation. They went on to also include that there is, I believe it's a 9-day training course, so it could be 9 weeks. I have to double confirm that for you guys. But like, there is a training course to actually, jump into this profession. But here he goes on to say just more of what they plan to do, and also what the compensation is right now.
Senior lifeguards, those who are accountable for facilitating junior staff with developing newly acquired skills, these first-line managers still take home less weekly than the lowest-paid worker with the Department of Parks. What is the government doing now to alleviate the current situation? Currently, the Department of Parks is advertising again in hopes of bringing to attention open positions for those potential lifeguards that may have missed the opportunity initially. Also, continue to research for more aggressive advertising methods to attract local talent. In the interim, the department has begun the process to increase the number of water safety signage at our national parks, including drafting designs for updated water signage that is intended to be more eye-catching. At the ministry level, efforts are being undertaken to raise the wages for lifeguards. While this may be unpopular to increase the cost to the government, this needs to be done to ensure we are attracting talent.
It's been said for ages, you don't wait to the whole starts crumbling to fix it, right? I just feel like almost everything is avoidable. And this to me is just another, I don't want to point blame, but I just want us to open our eyes in our everyday lives. Use this as an example in our everyday lives. That, what's that saying? If we prepare to fail, we fail to, you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that's where we are with this, and it's shameful. But no time for criticism. Let's fix this problem ASAP.
Yeah, and then you notice when he was talking just how big of a drastic jump we've had. Like in 2009, what was it, 30 about? And then even last year, at least in the 20s, and now we have 8. Mm-hmm. Those numbers are really dropping there, and
it's crazy. Thank you, Melanie. You fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. Yes, this is the result of what we're facing. It's sad. This is crazy. I'm sorry, Maya. Go ahead.
No, indeed. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I think someone put in the comments that, yes, we're lacking police officers, regiments looking, fire, the fire department, they had some more recruits, and then we had to hire people from overseas to come fill the obligation for the airports. And so that took a lot of money out of Bermuda's pockets as well, as most of them were actually being housed too. And then now we're looking at lifeguards, and still they talk about, job increasing and numbers increasing, but clearly there's probably not the jobs that people want or are interested in, or even bringing more attention. Like, we had the issue with the police officers being that, their applications were only open for a short period. Like, why isn't it open all year round? Questions that, would need answers, or things that could be done to actually expand the amount of applicants that go in. So now they're saying they're trying to push that these applications are, made available. Mm-hmm. And here we are now in another position where we do need people to fill these roles, but do the people want these roles, especially if the compensation, like the minister said, is so low?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So moreover, the quote that you're going to hear right now, quote, "We urge the reevaluation of department protocols for substitute coverage and the immediate action to be taken to expand the list to include more qualified professionals." So this is coming from the Bermuda Union of Teachers following the sick out at Dalton E. Tucker last week, forcing the principal to close the school due to a lack of teachers, something that has happened quite recently, as we stated earlier, with Harrington Sound. So the Bermuda Union of Teachers continued in a press statement that was put out on Friday morning. They put out the statement on Friday morning. They said teachers are being driven to burnout through a lack of support in the form of substitute teachers that can cover staff absences. And this is not the first time we have made this call for more substitute teachers to be made available. We implore the Department of Education to work collaboratively with us to ensure that our teachers and students receive the support they need to maintain a high-quality educational environment. We remain steadfast and committed to supporting our teachers and advocating for changes that will enhance teaching and learning in the public school system. Now, in regards to Dalton E. Tucker closing, the Department of Education said in a statement that came from the Commissioner of Education, Mrs. Kamala Richards, that was released on Friday afternoon. So Bermuda Union teachers released theirs on the morning, and then the Department of Education released theirs in the afternoon. And it said, quote, "We are unaware of any specific concerns of Dalton E. Tucker staff that would lead to any form of industrial action," end quote. And they went on to give some more context, saying that schools have an allocated substitute or support teacher on site on a daily basis, and schools also have access to a pool of substitutes for planning absences, and those substitutes are typically confirmed prior to the dates of the absences. Should a teacher or school require additional coverage, contingency plans go into effect. Now, this involves having teachers who have additionally planned time to cover classes. The department says they will engage in discussions with the Bermuda Union of Teachers to address concerns around coverage for absences and utilization of substitute teachers in general. So it's basically going back and forth right now, hearing from one side and hearing from the other. And, they did say that they have signed this new agreement with them that, had to do with, these protocols, but clearly something is not meeting.
Moving along. That's what I had.
Moving on. Trying to get some positive stories for you guys this morning. So as we know, Bermuda did launch its first flight to Canada in Toronto on May the 17th. So that's a big launch date for them. And then the 2024 end-to-end surpassed expectations in funds raised. The organization said that they will have a full announcement on the total impact in June once all donations have been received as well. And then finally, the first clinic of the year for the Daily Mail hit a clinic record for them. So that's your positives for today.
Yeah. I like that. Anything in sports?
Nothing really for sports right now. There are a lot of histories going on. There's, Cultural Heritage Month in Bermuda, History Month, and you're going to get a lot of that from me this month just to go along with some of our athletes. But the by-election for C10 is tomorrow, so that's something to also look out for.
I was wondering, did they have like a date to vote in advance in case people had to travel or anything, or no? I didn't hear anything about
not for traveling, and I did report on it here on the Daily Hour that they did have early stuff for people who couldn't leave their homes, who needed that extra assistance. There were days for them prior to, but not book leading up to it, so those days are done.
You see that shot she took just now, right, folks? I did report on it. I didn't hear traveling. I'm like, people travel around this time. I was just wondering, all right, what else you got?
What else I got left for you guys today is the weather. So it's actually looking pretty good. It says there's not going to be any rain, but it's going to be a little bit cloudy earlier and maybe a little bit later, but sunshine in between. And the weather temperature is bumping up. We got a 78 today, which is getting close to the 80s there. And hopefully it's looking good for this Friday.
All righty, Maya. I have some really cool. This is probably one of the best days of the year. And I'm giving you all four for May 21st. It's National Eat More Fruits and Vegetables Day in the U.S. Then it's World Meditation Day today. Then it's World Day for Cultural Diversity. And it's also International Tea Day. I don't think we've had a better day of options in recent times. Seriously, those are some cool ones. So let's let us know, though. I mean, obviously, we've got our conversation coming up real quickly, but let's go with International Tea Day. What's your favorite tea, audience? What's your favorite flavor of tea? Maya, what's your favorite tea?
When I'm home, I love a good green tea and some honey and some lemon. But when I'm out, there's this cafe that I love here, and they have a kiwi strawberry tea, and I love it. I don't know what's in it, but I love it.
Kiwi strawberry. Okay. I'm just going to be that regular person and say ginger tea. Is it chamomile? That's how you pronounce it? I've enjoyed I've enjoyed some chamomile. What's your favorite tea, audience? Let us know. We've got ginger turmeric from Travel and Trotty. Okay. Ginger
That's a good
turmeric.
one to have in the mornings for sure. Yeah. That's good for your body.
Teresa Marie says, drink tea while meditating in the sun. I love that. See what she did with the days of the year. Lipton says, Nicole Hassel. All right. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. All right.
She said branded.
My
Earl Grey is a good one too.
What's that?
Earl Grey. That's also another
Earl
favorite.
Grey. Yes. We've got Sweet Tea. He sounds like he's been spent a lot of time in the southern United States. All right. We'll talk to you soon, Maya. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. We've got mint tea as well. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Another mint tea from my yacht. We've got Melanie Gauntlett coming up from Freisenbruch. It's getting short. We're talking about pensions today. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 27 seconds. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
It took 14 days to build your business plan. 6 months to build the courage to leave your day job. 3 weeks to find the perfect location. It took 10 days to outfit your space just right. And 1 day before your first client walked in the door. All totaled, it took you a full year to get your business operational. And this is just the beginning. To the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, the people that shape our economic community, we salute you and are here for you every step of the way. BEDC, providing knowledgeable, progressive, professional, and innovative support to Bermuda businesses.
Summer is almost here. Dive into the season with dog floats and dog pools. Enjoy 20% off West Paula's dog floating toys and shop our life jackets for safety in the water this summer. Get all your summer needs before the holidays and events begin. Don't forget to stock up on poo bags and check out Dicky Bags, the poo bag holder that locks in the smell until you can dispose of it. Remember, even dogs need sunblock, so visit Noah's Ark today, Bermuda's most trusted animal supply store, for all your summer essentials, and ask us about our rewards program.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I am Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Arts Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Audience, we got some more teas. We got Suzanne Ingham. She said ginger, green tea, turmeric, hawthorn, and moringa. And we've got ginger from Sherilyn Johnson. Folks, keep them coming. Let us know. But if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these conversations with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Of course, we definitely want you to share now because we want to ensure that every Bermudian has an understanding of their pensions and how pensions work. And if you don't have one, you can reach out to our guest today. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to our guest for the day. We've got Melanie Gauntlett from Freisenbruch. Hello, welcome. They're going crazy for you.
Good morning, Jamal. Thank you.
Well, first off, I got to ask you before we jump into the conversation. Do you have a favorite tea?
I do.
All right. Give it to us. What you got?
Dandelion peach.
Okay.
It's an odd one.
Okay. I've got to try that now. I like a little peach flavored something.
Yeah, it's anti-inflammatory. It's really good.
There you go. Okay. She's giving me solutions already, folks. All right. Dandelion peach. I want to try that. I'm going to be looking for it this week, and I'm going to send you an email, let you know what I think.
Definitely let me know.
Melanie, thank you so much. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for sticking with us and coming on today to discuss one of my favorite topics. I quoted earlier my mom, and someone in the audience went and re-quoted it, but she really did, say that to me. Rosalind Famous quoted it. She said, quote, "The streets have no pension, wise words indeed." And again, maybe that was her working in insurance when I was a child, but I always had an idea and understanding. So whether it was me doing something personally for myself or through my work, as I stated, it was something that I took for granted being in Bermuda until I got to the US and realized, whoa, they do things differently here. But before we get into the pensions, just tell the audience a bit about yourself and what it is that you do at Freisenbruch.
Okay, well, my official job title is quite a mouthful. I am the financial pensions advisor here at Freisenbruch. And essentially what that means is I focus on the education of our members. So people can meet with me and have a one-on-one session to discuss risk tolerance, investment options, because your pension is an investment account. I also go out to our corporate clients and do educational sessions for them once a year. I sit on the investment committee. I do quite a lot of things, and I've recently added life insurance to my kind of toolbox as well. So.
I mean, she sounds much more brilliant than I'd ever be, but this is good to know. This is good to know. Let's talk about it now, because again, many Bermudians may just take for granted what it is that we benefit from when it comes to pensions, right? What is the law regarding pensions in Bermuda when it comes to the employer-employee relationship contributions?
So that's a good one. As of the year 2000, it is legislated that if you are an employer and you have full-time employees, you have to have a pension for them. So in Bermuda, that's standard, but everywhere else in the world, you're kind of on your own when it comes to saving for your retirement. So it is something that we do very differently. The way it works is you contribute 5% of your salary and your employer contributes 5%. So they match it, which means that 10% of your salary every year gets put in an account that you can't touch until you're 65. It's a really good way to kind of save for retirement without thinking about it, but you do need to think about it a bit more than never at all.
Yeah, it's incredible. Again, it's something, and I'll be personal and give context why I think that's such a favorable law for Bermuda. Is in the U.S., not all companies offer. They call it 401k in the U.S. Not all companies offer it, and then some companies that do offer it, they don't necessarily match it. I had a job recently, and they were speaking about how great their benefits were because they match a certain percent of it. And I had to tell someone, I was like, compared to what most Bermudians get by law, I'm not quite sure that's something to brag about. You're doing more than maybe other companies in the jurisdiction, but there are other spaces that do much better. So I think it's something we definitely need to feel blessed to have, right? Something that we're lucky to have.
Yeah, definitely. And some companies pay your entire 10%. It's, as long as it benefits the employee, the pension commission is very flexible. Some companies will pay their employees entire 10% and then anything additional, so they can still have that 5% removed, which means 15% goes into their account. You have some companies that will match any voluntary contributions that the employee puts in outside of that 10%. We do a lot, but when you think about the cost of retirement here in particular, is that 10% really enough, right? So it makes sense that we've got this legislative protection for us here.
Indeed. And let's speak specifically about Freisenbruch. What kind of pensions does Freisenbruch offer?
Okay, so we have a few. We've got a 401k plan for our US friends who are here working and want to contribute to their retirement plan in the States. The long arm of Uncle Sam still reaches here, unfortunately. That's all done through our US partners. We also have a registered plan for employers. It's registered with the Pension Commission. You then become in line with legislation and your employees can benefit from that kind of safety. We have non-registered plans. So for international guest workers who work here, they can still benefit from having an employer pension plan, but they have the flexibility to kind of walk away when they leave the island. Again, that's something employers don't legislatively have to have, but it is a perk that they can offer their international guest workers. And then we have personal retirement plans. So I have some clients who have their work plan and their personal plan. They use them in tandem. It kind of bolsters their savings. Those are not registered and can be used as a safety vehicle if you're looking to build wealth.
And so real quickly, I just want to go back to the Uncle Sam part. So if someone, let's say they're an American and they work for a company that their company has a pension plan for them, do they have to have it on in a 401k with Freisenbruch, or can they have that plan that a Bermudian would have?
They cannot have the plan that the Bermudian has.
Got it.
Yeah, it is very special circumstances. Normally, U.S. Workers don't kind of get any benefit from it because of the U.S. tax system. So we are an open book here when it comes to taxes. The 401k is run through the U.S. Employers don't have to provide it, but U.S. workers cannot be on the registered plans here.
That is good information to have to all of those. I know we have a lot of duals who tune into this show, but that is extremely important to know. Ask me how I know. Yeah, ask me how I know. Let's talk about self-employed people, because I know a lot of people who've been self-employed don't necessarily have the benefit of having an employer dip in. What kind of plans do you have for self-employed people that they should know about that are easy for them? When I say easy, low cost.
Well, all of our plans are low cost, which is great. You can do a personal retirement plan. It's perfectly appropriate for someone who's self-employed, and then just kind of get in the habit of putting in that 10%, because you as a self-employed person will be putting in your 5 and your employer's 5. Or you can go the registered route. You could actually register a plan for yourself. So you would be Melanie Gauntlett, trading as the name of my business. It brings you in line with legislation. There's many ways to kind of safeguard that for the owner operator of a business. And then if you expand and you bring on more staff, you've already got kind of a company plan set up, we can add them on. Or if you just want to go the individual route, just about getting in the habit of putting in that 10%.
Indeed. An audience, if you have any questions or comments for Melanie, I definitely will get to the comments. I see Diana Gilbert. We'll get into this now. She says, hopefully more people do voluntary pension. And we'll talk about that now, because let's talk about vesting periods. Just explain what a vesting period is and the difference between vesting periods, such as locked in and voluntary contributions.
Okay, so in Bermuda, there are 2 options for vesting periods, as if you're looking from an employer standpoint. So if you have a company plan and you are enrolled on a company plan, you're either vested immediately, so the second you join the plan, or after 1 year. Legislatively, all employers have to vest their monies after a year. So vesting is essentially locking in things. If you're vested immediately, your 5% and your employer's 5% are locked in, and you cannot touch them until you're 65. If you are vested after a year in your company plan, what that means is if you leave 6 months from then and you don't make the full year, you can take your 5% either in cash or to your new employer's plan. It also means that the 5% that your employer was contributing towards your retirement goes back to the employer. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. And if you're anything like me when I was young, every time you left a job, you took the cash, which is detrimental to you in the long run. So when an employer does immediate vesting, that's really good for their employees. It may not feel like it sometimes, especially if that employee has left after 6 months, but those funds are locked in, and they cannot touch them until they're 65. Whereas if they vest them after a year, you kind of give them that little, the ability to take that 5%. And if you bounce around a lot, those years add up real quick when it comes to your pension. So vesting is essentially when that money gets locked in. Now, locked in funds, no matter where you are. So if you have an employee plan here and then another employee plan at another competitor, wherever you transfer it, it doesn't unlock anything. It goes from locked to locked. There's no way around getting these funds out. You can't switch it from one company to the other to try and wake it up. They are locked until you're 65. Anything voluntary is voluntary. It's your money. You need to use it. I have some members who treat it like a savings plan. So they will contribute more than their mandatory 5%. I personally contribute more to mine as well. And those funds, I have every intention of not touching them till I'm 65, but emergencies happen and I'm living in Bermuda. So if I lose my roof in a hurricane and I need to spot myself some cash, I've got liquid assets in my voluntary funds that I can touch at any time. And that's exactly what voluntary means. We're not going to lock that up until you're 65.
You know what? I honestly do hope that before this show is over, people are emailing and calling you for voluntary, some volunteer form of voluntary pension plan, because I look at this stuff often as I look at, being in the US, I would look at, when you go into your bank, like Bank of America, they always trying to get you to invest with, do their thing. And they have these charts where they tell you, oh, this is your age, this is how much you need to have in retirement savings, right? And I'm like, how? Because the world changes so quickly. How do we figure that out? So how much should the average person have in 2024 as they approach retirement? Like, is there a certain number?
That's a really hard question to answer, and it's the one I get the most often. So you really have to have a look at your finances, right? If you're still working, you still have income coming in. Now, I know Bermudians have been very good about savings. Everybody here loves a good CD, but they haven't been so good about investing. And if you're just saving your funds, you're not going to outpace things like inflation. And inflation is a huge topic all over the world right now. So when it comes to how much you have to have in retirement, there is no magic number. Look at your current income, look at what you have saved up, look at what you have in your pension, consolidate your pensions if you can, because then it's easier to track. And then try and figure out what you want with your retirement. Do you want to travel? Do you want to hang out with your friends? Like, it's a long, laborious process to look at the bigger picture, but it's essential because you're never going to come up with the right number. So once you know how much you have and how much you kind of want to have, so say you want 70% of your current income, then you have to look at how do you get that? Is it social insurance coming back to you at 65? And then your pension, is that going to be enough? Do you have to rely on some savings? Do you have to have some outside investments that are going to produce another revenue stream? That question is specifically tailored to every individual, and no two people are alike, especially here. Then you also have to look at, okay, I may put a number on it now in 2024, but I'm not going to retire for another 28 years. So 28 years from now, what's the cost of living going to look like? What's inflation going to look like? Do I have enough 28 years from now? You've got to touch base with your pension often. You can't just sit there and think, oh yeah, I got, $300K in my pension account. That's not going to be enough. So yeah.
No two people are the same. Everyone's situation, as you said, is different. So thank you for being very honest about that, because I always look at those charts. I'm like, they don't know that about me.
Nope.
Audience, if you have any questions and comments, keep them coming. I'll get through as many as possible. I do see you. You mentioned, the locked-in vested can't touch until 65. Unfortunately, there are people who don't make it to 65. What happens to their pensions if they die prior?
So when you sign up for your pension, whether it be a personal retirement plan or your employer's plan, you will have a wonderful sheet that says beneficiaries at the top. And there are kind of three types of beneficiaries. You have your primary beneficiaries, which are people that you want to get your funds in the event that you pass before they're all depleted. Then you have secondary beneficiaries. So those are the people that get the funds after the primaries. So if the primaries pass and the funds are still there, the secondaries are next in line. And then if anybody is on that list that's under the age of 18, you have to have a trustee for that beneficiary. And you have to trust that trustee implicitly because that person gets the money. So essentially what happens is if you pass away, your trustees will come to us or your pension provider and say, hey, we've lost my mom, my dad. I understand that they had their pension here with you. What do you need from me? I'm their beneficiary. And then we'll normally request something like a death certificate and their photo ID. And then those funds are distributed straight to your beneficiary. It doesn't go through probate. It hasn't got to go through a long legal process. They have access to those funds within 5 to 7 business days of us receiving that backup paperwork. We make it really easy for families to kind of gain access, mainly because final expenses. You know, you've got Belco bills to pay for, a funeral sometimes. Your family has quick and easy access to that in the event that you pass, or they can choose to leave it right where it is and we'll just put it in an account for them.
You know, Melanie, having been through that, I cannot tell you, an audience, I'm just speaking from recent experience with the death of my mother, that is welcoming. That is great to hear, honestly. And I think it's a reminder that, yes, we're a business, but we're here to serve the client, right? And the human element remain in front and center, that, hey, people, they have expenses, funeral, the like. So that's important. Thank you for doing that as a company.
Yeah, we're human, right? Like, I've been through the same thing. A good friend of mine passed away and we had to help his mom. And who do you call? The finance person, right? So I actually had a wonderful experience with Freisenbruch before I even joined. And it was super easy for us to go to his mom and say, hey, here's how you do it. Everybody was very kind and gentle. And it just, you'd be surprised how much weight that takes off of people's shoulders just by being human.
Absolutely. Let's go to the audience. We do have quite a few questions. Mark Arthur C. Phillips is asking, do you have any suggestions on investment options for voluntary pension?
Okay, so your voluntary pension is actually most of the time invested along the same lines as your regular pension, your locked in portions. You can sometimes split it out where your voluntary is, you know, in fun money or a higher risk category, and your locked in is in maybe a moderate category. It all depends on your risk tolerance. No two people are alike, so we're going to keep repeating that. It is very important to kind of talk to a professional. If you're building your own adventure, you can pick different funds for those monies. There is no straight answer for that. But if you don't have an outside investment account and you perhaps want to bump up your risk tolerance a little bit, you can do that through your voluntary pension. But just remember, the market is going to fluctuate all the time and nothing is guaranteed when it comes to investing.
Indeed. We've got Rosalind Famous. Good one. Rosalind Famous is asking, can you update the list of beneficiaries?
Yes, you can. It's actually a living document. So I like to remind our clients, anytime you have a big life change your beneficiaries. There is nothing worse than me having to tell you, let's go back a little bit. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. So if you have a list of beneficiaries, say, and you get married, right? And you put your husband as your primary beneficiary, and then you and that person get divorced, okay? And you don't update your beneficiaries, and then you pass. Your will may say your kids, but your trustee document says your ex-husband. Your ex-husband is getting that money. It supersedes your will. Your list of beneficiaries is really important to keep track of your funds, to keep track of who's getting your money, because I'm not paying attention to the will. I'm paying attention to the last version of that document that we hold with us. So yes, update your beneficiaries anytime you have a big major life change.
All righty. Teresa Marie, an audience, if you have any more questions, comments, please share. But Teresa Marie, she says, the rule of thumb used to be for every $10,000 a year account on retirement, you'll receive about $900 a year for life. Any thoughts on that?
No, that's a hard one. And that's one I've never heard before, actually. I do know that in Bermuda, you get 7% of your pension pot every year after you retire at 65, right? So if you look at $900 of 10,000, the math is not mathing in my brain, at least this morning, without too much coffee. You have to look at inflation. Nothing is really guaranteed, especially in a pension account and an investment account, because the market's going to fluctuate. So while I would like to say yes to that question, I'd have to crunch the numbers to be able to really confirm that. The rule of thumb for me is always overestimate. So triple anything, because inflation is theoretically between 3 and 6% every year. So if you think you're going to need $300,000 to retire in the US, depending on where you're going to retire. Just triple that if you're planning on living here.
Yeah. A couple things stand out this morning. Obviously, for our dual folks, 401ks, knowing that you have something special for them, that's important. But also, it's been said on this show by myself from an experience I had early on in my time in the US. Savings accounts, folks. The way inflation works, they're just not as beneficial as they once were, right? And so I think voluntary pension plans might be the way to go. No bias, but I think she's giving you enough information. But Melanie, where can people go to learn more about the various plans that Freisenbruch offers, or even just get in contact with you? Your information's up below the screen. But do they have to make appointments? Can they walk in?
I prefer appointments. I'm one person here. And I'm quite busy all the time. So I like to be able to give people the time that they need. By all means, please make an appointment with me. I'd love to sit down and have a chat. There's never any pressure, which is great. You can go to fmgroup.bm. We have a lot of wonderful retirement tools on there that you can use to kind of game plan out your retirement and see if you want to do it yourself. My direct line is 294-4660. Or you can reach me at mgauntlet@fmgroup.bm. And always happy to sit down. No question is a dumb question. And I love talking about this stuff. So
we did have a question that came through, not on screen, asking, can you just touch on real quickly the difference between life insurance and pension real quickly before you head out?
Oh, so that's a good one. So life insurance is another vehicle. It should not be used as your sole income in retirement, mainly because that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of that is to ensure your life. You are your most valuable asset, and it's for people you leave behind. Your pension is for you. Your pension is money that you need in retirement to survive. Yes, you can get life insurance policies that build up cash value, which you can draw down from, but that's not really the intention of that policy. Life insurance is for future, so that's generational wealth kind of building stuff. And your pension is for you.
Got it. I can talk about this all day. Don't make me keep you. But Melanie, thank you so much for this, and we'll definitely have to continue the conversation because I think there's so much more to discuss as far as like ages, educating young people about it. When to start, but thank you for this. Again, folks, you can go on Freisenbruch.bm. You can reach out to Melanie. Please make an appointment so that she can give you her full attention. I'll be making my appointment. I want to find out about that 401k. But what advice would you give to someone who's on the fence about doing a voluntary pension plan?
Okay, so I'll give you a really quick example. I underwent what I like to call my financial colonoscopy, okay? And my boss is probably going to freak out that I said that on here. To kind of illustrate the point of voluntary contributions. So without the numbers in front of me, I sat down when I joined Freisenbruch to think about my pension because I was in investments before this. I was like, pension, I'll just set it and forget it. I sat down and I took out a lot of distributions during COVID, mainly to put in my investment account. And I looked at how far behind I was. So if I only contributed the 10% of my wages, it equated to like $300 something a month towards my pension. And I would have only ended up with, $700K by the time I retire in 28 years. I think I gamed it out. And that's if I'm aggressive in my strategy the entire time. So that's taking a lot of risk for hopefully more reward. And 800K, 700K is not going to be enough to retire here. So then what I did is I sat down and I looked at my finances and I had a very honest conversation with myself. And I thought, what can I kind of cut out in order to be able to contribute more? And what's that number like when it comes out of my payroll? And I came up with 2%. I add an additional 2%, which is like 140 something bucks to my pension every month through my payroll, through my employer. That's how your voluntary works. If you're an employer plan, it has to go through your employer. And it actually pushed me over the $1 million mark. And that number in 28 years from now still may not be enough. So voluntary is extremely important, especially living in Bermuda, because you just never know how much you're going to need. And because it's voluntary, you can touch it whenever you like. Use it as a savings vehicle. You're going to get a lot more from it than, especially if you put it in something simple like a basic index fund. It's going to grow more in your pension than it is in your savings account. There are risks associated, but we can mitigate them most of the time.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm serious, audience. We'll be making an appointment with Melanie. This is important, and I hope you found it worthy. Melanie, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to having you back already. The conversation with Marie and now these are some important conversations that our community need to engage with. So thank you. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me. See you soon. Have a good day, everybody.
All right, Melanie Gauntlett, folks, if you appreciated the conversation today, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you go check her out. Give her a call, email her at mgauntlet@fmgroup.bm or call 294-4660. Find out how you can benefit. Again, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, do the daily play, and wrap it up in 55 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
Take a look at our workbook for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
All righty. Thanks again to Melanie Gauntlett for that conversation. I'm dead serious. I could have talked about that all day. I am so grateful to my mother for discussing pensions with me as a very young child, and really having an understanding of the difference between savings accounts, mutual funds, pensions, and the like. That's something that I was grateful for, because it's something that most of my peers were not aware of at such young ages. So thank you to Melanie. And I'm enjoying the conversations with Freisenbruch with these segments of Get Insured. So we'll be having them monthly. If you how they can assist you, and give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Let's beat the algorithms. It is time. Thanks again to the BAC Group Medical Host, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. Bermuda Trivia is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, so it's a remember when, and it's a Bermuda Day question. All right, and this is something that if you tune into this show regularly, you should know the answer to. All right, it's about one of our own. Here we go. Audience, in what year did Larry Marshall Jr. win the Bermuda Day Half Marathon Derby? No one got it. So no one wants to be eligible for this week's prize. Wow, someone got it. Jade. Mark Arthur C. Phillips said 2013. No. 2017. No. Stacy Ann Brown hit it on. She hit it. She is good at this. 2007. Yeah. So Stacy Ann is in there. 2007. Larry won the Bermuda Day Half Marathon Derby. So let's put Stacy Ann up there. That is good. I'm not gonna say she Googled that one. I'm gonna give it to her. I don't know, Stacy Ann. I don't know how you do it, but you always come up trumps. But congratulations to you. You'll be in this week's draw. But real quickly to wrap it up regarding the teacher shortages, I just want to ensure that whenever conversations surround education, we remember what the most important aspect of the conversation should be, is the well-being of the student. I feel like that gets lost when it comes to education, and we must put them front and center. And my hope is that the ministry addresses it in a manner that can ensure that going into the new school year, we don't have these same issues. As far as the conversation with Melanie, as I stated, I'm grateful to my mother for sharing the information she did with me, but we will be connecting with her regarding the plans that may apply to myself, who is dual. And I would encourage everyone, if you don't have a voluntary plan, as she said, the way that inflation and economies are working, you may need voluntary as well. Not trying to take anything away from banks and savings accounts, but you need more. So reach out, voluntary, put something aside that may help you live a bit better. As I told you, I don't want to work forever. I don't want to work to death. I want to be able to enjoy life. So that's where pensions become so important. All right, here's your daily inspiration for the day. Quote, "We are all gifted. That is our inheritance." End quote. Athol Waters. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. I am is out. Peace.